Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thursday with Wendler. It's a little a day early, and I apologize if I didn't inform everyone. I know there's millions of people watching right now. But I hope everyone's doing good. I hope everyone is having a good week. The weather is starting to break here in London, Ohio. Some warmer days. And sitting to my left, or to the right of your screen, I should say, is my good friend Matt Rhodes. He is in for the weekend. Vincent DeCenzo, one of our, we'll call him an acquaintance, not really a friend. He's coming in.
Tolerable.
Yeah, tomorrow morning. We're going to have a great weekend together. The Arnold is happening, but I doubt we're going to the Arnold. We're going to the Arnold? We're not going to the Arnold.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, if anyone has any questions, please do so. Ask in the chat to the right of your screen there. And again, I don't know how many questions we're going to get today, so this might be a very short and easy live stream. So, but don't be shy, guys. You are the reason why these happen, so I appreciate it. I will say here in London, this past Monday, we always squat on Monday in the off season. We had probably the best training session we've ever had. The energy was insane. Kids did a tremendous job. Some really big numbers, for the kids. They're not squatting 500 pounds. So Rhodes is also a strength coach for a high school. He's also worked in the college world too. And now I train all our kids Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So in one big group, we have about 60 to 65 kids now. It's crazy. But Matt trains his teams even in the off season during the school
day. Yeah, so the kids can take the classes
yes.
like an elective, I call it advanced gym class.
Yeah, so that's what we call it too, advanced PE. The other thing though is you have how many minutes approximately per day?
I have 35. It's a 50-minute class period. We give them some leeway to change and all that stuff. So I have a 35-minute lifting period.
So you lift
7 times a day.
Yeah, but we have 5 days a week, right?
Yes.
So what days do you lift?
So we do the lift same as you, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, squat, bench, deadlift, in season, off season, whatever.
Okay.
Things are adjusted accordingly.
Yes.
Tuesday, Thursday. So what you guys do is you'll come in and do your warm up with rows and pull-ups and stuff like that, right? And then you go to movement. You'll do cartwheels and tumbling and bear crawls and stuff like that. Okay. So what I do is I kind of take that and I do that on Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
And then, so we'll do, instead of say doing, bear crawl down and back, crab crawl down and back, we'll do them sideways. We'll do them backward. You know what I'm saying? So we do extra
a little more creative.
Yeah. And so then we'll do a ton of tumbling.
Okay.
With cartwheels, you name it.
So Tuesdays and Thursdays you do not lift. It's essentially movement work.
It's movement, and we'll do yoga videos sometimes. When the kids don't want to listen to me, I put a video on, or I'll take them through what I call an organized stretch, where I basically take them through. Or I've created stations, like what we do with our circuits.
Yes,
there's something they do in the rack. Usually it's hurdle unders, and then they do like a pigeon rear foot elevated stretch. I call it the box stretch, and there's like 5 versions of that.
Yep.
They foam roll. And then they have a 4th station that's whatever they want. And so they'll rotate through it, and I kind of give them a little leeway.
So you have a lot of variety, but basically the same stuff.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And I get the illusion of choice.
Yes, that's what
the illusion of choice.
You do push-ups or dips?
Yeah. Yeah. They're fantastic.
You do dumbbell incline at 60 or dumbbell incline at 45?
Yes.
So,
yes.
All right. So we got a couple questions here. So we will start off. Timmy B says, I broke my right wrist. So I'm in a cast for 4 weeks. Other than focusing on legs and core, any tips in the meantime to still get my workouts in? And he goes on to say, also, can I do single arm upper body exercises with my left arm? Or will that lead to imbalance? Any tips would be greatly appreciated. So let's take the second question first. So if someone hurts their right arm or right shoulder and they can only do something with their left arm, we've heard this, like if you do a single arm exercise, like dumbbell bench with a single arm,
there's a carryover.
They say there's a carryover to the right. I don't know how they can discuss that. But,
it's like 21%. Whatever. Yeah. So
would you have them do that?
If the kid's going to be out for like a workout or two, just to keep him busy, when I ruptured my bicep tendon, I had the fancy thing, you know, and I didn't do anything with my good arm. Personally, I had access to a safety squat bar.
Yes.
Safety squat bar, good mornings, lunges. I walked around the weight room with the bar on my back like a farmer's carry. And I just hammered. I basically stayed on a rack and hammered that stuff over and over every other day. That's how I did it.
Personally, we don't have the kids do anything. If a kid hurts his arm, we generally don't do anything. The one thing I will say, we've had a couple kids. In fact, one of my favorite athletes of all time, I won't name his name, but 2 seasons in a row, he broke his hand and his wrist. So he had this huge cast on, and he's a total dude, all-state player, great wrestler. He would just take empty barbell and do 200 bench reps, 200 overhead press reps. He could do curls. And the other thing we did if you have access to a safety squat bar, or even if you have some kind of calf raise machine, we did shrugs, which they could get away with. I don't know, maybe if you have a shoulder injury, that doesn't work. But personally, Timmy, if I were you, I would safety squat bar or belt squat. If you don't have access to that, I would leg extension, leg curl, leg press, and hack squat, any leg machine that you can fit yourself into. The other thing I would do is on the days that you're not lifting, I would probably do that 2 or 3 days a week and just bomb it, just absolutely bomb your legs. The other days, you can obviously go for walks. You can go for hill walks. Weight vest walks would be good. Walking lunges would be great. You can do step ups either with the weight vest or without a weight vest. I've been doing those quite a bit. Just you don't need a lot of area, just something to step up onto. So personally, I would use this as a time to absolutely bomb your legs and get your conditioning to a high level. It's only 4 weeks. 4 weeks, you can dramatically change your conditioning. Even if it's just Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you go for, a 5 or 6 mile walk or something like that. So I would use this as a challenge personally. I would go actually crazy. I really, on the Tuesday or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, on the lifting days, I wouldn't care much about the weights. I would just do a ton of reps, just bodybuild the shit out of your legs, get them as big and pumped up as possible. And then use the other days to be as, conditioned like you're going to selection or something like that. Do whatever you can and really do some challenges. One thing I did recently, and Mason and I are going to do a challenge, is a quarter mile or half mile of walking lunges. You can stop at any time. Mason and I got to do that. I got all kinds of challenges for me and Mason. And that's one of them. I can tell you how excited he's about doing that. I tell him, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know if I can make it this year, Mel." Oh, buddy. So anyway, just Timmy, if I were you, I would use this as a sign that the universe is telling you to get in better shape and get bigger legs. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. You got to learn how to adjust your perspective instead of getting all down in the dumps. Because listen, the other thing is you're going to get injured. 100%. I don't care how safe you are. Shit's going to happen. Even if it's a little nagging injury, things are going to happen. So you have to learn how to kind of adjust your focus and use your attitude to your advantage, not to your disadvantage. So Kevin Dixon, he's been on here many times. He said his shoulder got hurt a bit from weighted pull-ups. How do you deal with and get rid of shoulder pain? All right, so
you're probably the wrong guy to ask.
I just did. All right, I'll start off. So the couple things here, Kevin, is one, you got to maybe the weighted pull-ups for me. If I do weighted pull-ups with the palm, pronated grip, palms facing away, it seems to hurt my shoulders and especially my elbows if I do a lot of volume. I highly, highly recommend using a neutral grip on a lot of your pull-ups.
I agree with all that. Yep.
Even the underhand grip can put a little strain on your elbows. That doesn't mean you don't use these grips at all. But primarily, if you're going to do a lot of high volume or heavy weighted pull-ups, most of them should be with a neutral grip. It makes a huge difference. All right. Number two, number two is a lot of things. I've discussed these before. Any shoulder injuries that I've had, the bottoms up kettlebell press has been a game changer for me. You don't have to go very heavy. It's going to feel very awkward, right? The first time you do it. So I would probably do maybe 2 sets of 10 reps per arm. The second thing that I did was, oh my God, the mace swings.
Oh yeah.
So I bought a mace, but I used a 20-pound, like I call it the Mason's bar. Sorry, Mason. But it's a lighter bar. It's a 5-foot bar. And I started doing that. They do the 360 halo ship.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other variations that you can try. And then the third thing that I used that really sucks is the Turkish get up. That really helped my shoulder because it keeps everything locked in place. And when I started doing those, I just used a barbell, believe it or not. I didn't have a kettlebell. And I started them on an incline. So I go out to my grass here, and it was incline. So it was a little easier on my shoulder to get up and easier to get up and down. So that would be the 3 things that I would do. And I would use, you don't overdo the rehab.
No.
I've told this story before. With my back, I used to get up in the middle of the night and do rehab, thinking, well, if I only did 8 hours today of rehab, got to clock in another 30 minutes. It doesn't work like that. So a little bit can go a long way. All right. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
Let's say the other thing is maybe, Kevin, there's something in your pressing routine, maybe a little too much volume on something, and maybe that just the injury showed up in the pull-ups.
Yeah, showed up it's from something else.
So just be cognizant of that. And, the one thing I always think, if I was going to go back and save my shoulders a little bit, the one thing is I would have had a slight pause on my bench. Instead of just always, now it's going to be hard to do because this gets to be a little crazy. But I think having a slight pause on the bench, even on the dumbbell work,
where it's not like a rebound effect, sort of.
So that doesn't mean every rep has to be like that, but maybe anything over 80 to 85%, something like that. So have you any shoulder injuries?
Yeah, it sounds similar to what you do something and you're like, oh, that got aggravated. And what I would do in a situation like that, I've had the elbow issues from the pull-ups. I've had the shoulder thing. I might just stay away from pull-ups for a week and hammer rows or, inverted rows or whatever, and then just revisit it.
Yes.
If you know how it goes, you do it on Monday, by Wednesday, like, it feels pretty good. You try a set. If it hurts, I'm going to do inverted rows today and just keep kind of revisiting it.
Yes.
And just,
you'll get to a point. The other thing is, like, listen, man, like I remember I hurt my elbow so bad from doing all the volume of extensions. And oh my God, it hurt so bad I couldn't squat anymore. And that's another thing no one ever talks about is the elbow. Squatting with bands killed my elbows. So anyway, long story short, instead of just taking a week off, I took off 4 weeks of anything so I'd use the safety squat bar. I didn't do any pressing. I don't even think I did any tricep extensions. I just kind of let the joint rest. And again, used it to my advantage to do shit that I didn't, a lot of abs and low back stuff like that. So we call it, you always want to front load the rehab. So if you want to take a week off, take 2 weeks off. It's better to come back strong and healthy rather than come back sooner and re-aggravate something. Then you got to be out another.
Yeah. So like for me, because I've had that, you put too much weight on.
Yep.
Or you move wrong in the pull up, whatever. So for me, rows, no matter what shoulder injury I managed to have, never bothered me.
Yep.
Like a one-arm kettlebell row or dumbbell row, and same thing with fat man's. I'd get that elbow pain in here on the pull-up in the fat man row, whether it was on like a football bar or a straight, didn't bother me for whatever reason. So it was kind of like the guy with the wrist. I can't read his name because I can't see it.
Timmy B.
Same idea. Just because you can't do pull-ups, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can still hammer something else and get done what needs to get done and let the body heal.
You know what I used for the first, this is when I was at UK, the first time that I used fat man pull-ups was using the safety squat bar Hetfield handles that were attached.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I just remember that because I did many workouts by myself when I was working at UK. Many workouts until I met Kevin and we started training. Those were good Sundays. I would come in early.
Yeah.
I'd clean part of the weight
room.
You
have the whole weight room to yourself.
So much fun. Yeah. So as much as I enjoyed training with my boys and everything else, there's still some, even, I train in my garage. They're still awesome about just putting on some music and just letting everything go. That's why I would love weight vest walks. And I love weight vest. The other thing I love is weight vest walking while I'm talking to Mason or I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
It's just a good time.
Hold on, the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're around the corner, brother. I know where you are.
One of my weight vest walk, there's a long strip that the wind is just fucking brutal. Just brutal. So anyway, I hope that helps, Kevin. But good job on doing the weighted pull-ups though, man. It's a dude exercise, that's for sure. Vincent D, there is our boy. We're gonna be, don't worry, Vincent. We'll pick up around noon. You have an hour. You can hang out at the airport. Just kidding. Boy, imagine if you were late to pick up Vincent.
Oh my God, end of the world.
I'm Vincent. Donde está, motherfucker? Vincent says, if you eat Popeyes or watch The Gentleman before I get there, I'm getting right back on the plane.
Shoot, we already got Popeyes.
No. Don't get street with me, Vincent. Yeah. Anyway, we won't, buddy. When we were driving home, we passed Popeyes and we thought of you.
But we both looked.
Yeah, we both looked.
We're not going there?
Give it my hardcore salute. So don't worry, buddy. All right. Josh says, hey, Jim, just wondered what kind of back surgery you had. I have been having chronic back pain off and on for the last 5 years. I'll have an appointment with a neurosurgeon on Monday. All right. So I'm going to tell you right now, Josh, I don't even know what it's called. I know I had if my wife were here, she could probably tell you, but it had some kind of fusion surgery. To be completely honest, like you got to make sure that you've exhausted all your options. And I spent years trying to rehab and get that thing good, about 2 years, and nothing felt good. I think that should be your last option, Josh. And you need to really understand that with a bad back, listen, I'm all for like coming back and kicking ass, but you're going to have to make some alterations. So for example, if you still want to squat or deadlift, Josh, that might not be in the cards for you, at least not right now. So take that out and see, like, just do prowler and sleds and leg extension, leg curls, stuff like that, stuff that doesn't involve your back. And then see how you are. If your back feels good, then keep on doing that. The last thing you should do is have a surgery, even though mine was a fucking blessing for me. I will say that when I woke up, the pain I was in after surgery was horrible. I've had a couple surgeries, but that one took the cake. Now, Matt here had both his hips replaced. How was the pain when you woke up? Or they nerve?
It was horrible. I had the nerve block, but once that wears off, the pain was bad. But the way, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. The pain of surgery was way better than the pain of injury. Yeah, because I had arthritis. Yeah, and so it was, and it hurt for, probably about a week or so, week to 10 days. But I knew it was.
He's gonna get.
It was the pain of surgery, not the pain of bone on bone. So. But I agree with Jim on that, especially with the back. And I think a good back surgeon, or what are they called, neurologist or something like that, neurosurgeon. Yeah. I think a good one that will be their last choice with you is they'll say they want to do this and cortisone shots or whatever it is, rehab, whatever it is. Because once you do it, better than I do. But once it's done, and it's going to change.
It will change your life, Josh. Not always for the good, but it just depends on how much. Like when I had my surgery, my doctor told me, he's like, you'll be as strong as you want to be. And the one thing that really motivated me was when I would go in for my checkups after my surgery, I'd look around the room and see people barely able to move. And that really kind of motivated me to get back. And maybe I'm never going to be as strong as I was, nor did I really care that much. I just wanted to be healthy. So that's my advice to you, Josh. The other thing is, man, if you are on painkillers, and trust me, I know how this is, get off of them as soon as you can, because it's a black hole you'll never come out of. So that's my advice to you too, bud. All right, Timmy B, the guy with the bad wrist, says, thanks, guys. I have access to a safety squat bar and weight vest, so looking forward to it. Dude, just go fucking crazy, Tim. You'll be surprised what your body can handle. Kevin Dixon says he lunged a mile before. It's death. Yes, it is. I've done a quarter mile and a half mile, and both of them sucked. Horrible.
I have bad hips, so
I can't do it. I'd love to try.
I'll do metal reps with you guys. Yeah. I would like. It's actually one of the things that I would like to do once my hip kind of gets back to normal. I'm 4 months I'm 4 months post-surgery. So there's certain things that we were talking about earlier. I will be able to do them, but just right now, it just doesn't quite feel right. So that is one thing that I want to do.
That was the other thing that was crazy about the surgery. When I had my surgery, squatting felt horrible, but trap bar felt fine. And I was like,
for whatever reason, right? Yeah.
All right, well, this is just the way it goes. So I will say this, man, if for whatever reason, if you can't squat, deadlift, or do anything like that, there's other options. And I will say this, obviously I'm not as strong as I was, but my legs are so much more, I don't know how else to say it, like dude strong than I've ever been. Just
useful.
Yeah. I mean, useful. It's insane. Yeah. Climbing all the stairs, doing tons of step ups, lunges, squats with the weight vest, a lot of prowler stuff. It's a whole nother world. So don't get so caught up, guys, if you can't do something. Just bomb what you can. Vincent says for Kevin had the shoulder issue. He says, I swear by the kettlebell bottom up press is a cure for a lot of shoulder problems. It really is. And I was very skeptical of that too. I'm sure all of us are very skeptical about anything that's kind of new because it seems to go in and go out and then no one forgets it. But that's one thing that's definitely stood the time. Yeah. So Keith Bott, he's from Scotland, says, I'm just in from work, so it's bench press on 5 through 1 week with a couple of pull-ups in between sets. Then goblet squats and one-arm rows for assistance while listening to you guys. That's awesome. Awesome. Got myself a list all of a sudden. And from Scotland. We've had a few people come in from Scotland. I appreciate the message and enjoy. I'm going to assume it's overcast and rainy. I'm just going to throw that out there. I visited Ireland for a week, and it was overcast and rainy. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful, though. And I'm sure Scotland is very similar. Oh, my God. Is it beautiful?
All I can hear right now, and I'm such a dick, but is Mike Myers. All things Scottish. It's not Scottish, it's crap. Oh, I'm an idiot. I've been up since 3.
Brandon Fink says, I'm trying to figure out band tension for squat and bench. In one of the West Side books, it says 50% of max with 25% band tension. Is the 25% based on max? I would assume so. Listen, Brandon, I spent the good portion of like a year trying to do all that stuff, and then I just said, screw it. To be completely honest, a lot of those numbers will depend greatly on how you set up the bands,
how old they are,
how new they are,
how tall you are. I think.
Yeah, I would. So what we would do is we would just use a certain weight. You just have records for green bands, records for blue bands, and stuff like that, instead of trying to figure that stuff out, because it ends up driving you mad. And that's just what I would do. And we just, the one thing that I realized why I hated bands was Kevin and I were doing reverse band bench as one of our max effort. And when, beginning of February, we did whatever. And the next time we did it, the bands had stretched. And I completely fucking just did horrible. And I was like, what's the matter? I'm like, oh. So I hate having the variable of bands because it changes.
Yeah, constantly.
Now, if you are doing a true West Side style training where everything's based on bar speed or max, it shouldn't matter. Because again, when you're doing a max effort method, the most important thing is to strain. So it didn't matter. But at the same time, it's a little tough when you did, 400 pounds on 1 week, and the next time you do it, it's 365 buries you. So that's the only thing I kind of had trouble with. And that's one of the greatest things about straight weight.
It is what it is.
Well, there's a difference than Vincent weight. Vincent weight is known as gay weight. So we did straight weight.
We're going right there. That's what I like. I hope he's listening.
Well, Vincent D stands for dong. That's what he loves the most.
That's true.
Vincent Hart Dong. Look at that. Anyway, he touches one a couple times a day.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So
especially now that he's retired.
That's right. Sometimes it might even be his own. Brandon. So I would probably stop trying to figure that stuff out. In fact, Bob Coe, when they were measuring band tension, famously tore his bicep because one of the bars fell off and he tried to catch it and ripped his bicep. So
I like what you did is just, I've got a record with the
Greens.
purple band, a record with the greens, a record with the blues, and whatever else, and then just
The other thing
know
that
what you're using with that band.
So when Kevin and I were doing it, we would keep the weight. So we would do, let's say, for example, on the squat, 405, 455, 495.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do a couple cycles with the average band.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we wanted to up the weight, we kept the weight the same, then do
Through
the blue band.
Yeah. Yep.
And then when we did kind of the circa max phase, we do a blue and a green or whatever, blue and a
So your bar weight always stayed the same, and your tension was.
So we waived the tension and stuff like that. So, boy, did we! I'm sure you guys did too. We started farting around way too much bands. In fact, I'm going to tell you, there's the greatest story. I got to squat one day at West Side. There's like Paul Childress came in, and Donnie Thompson came in. A whole group of guys came in. And I remember I was like Dave was the weakest squatter. He had 935. I had like 950 or something like that. And we were the weakest squatters. So we
900.
So it's 8:30 in the morning, right? And we're squatting, and Louis decides we're going to do 3 blues per side. We didn't even warm up. The warm up was three blues. And I remember taking that bar off. And I remember sitting down and coming up. I'm like, dude, I worked up to 405. I was out right away. 405 and like 3 blues, and that was like heart attack shit going on. So not the smartest thing I've ever done, but it was an awesome day. That's one of the most legendary training days, and I don't think we ever captured that on film or anything like that. Imagine that, guys. Now Vincent the Dong is saying, shocker, Bottles, that's what he calls him, couldn't read the screen. You guys talk crap about my eating now. So if anyone doesn't know, now. Bottles is from Shot Caller. And if anyone has
Jeffrey Donovan's character,
the guy from
and if you
what's
Burn
that?
Notice.
Burn Notice.
And he's the CIA guy in
Sicario. Sicario. And I'll tell you what, I watched Sicario too. My oldest son Mason, Dad, you got to watch it. Fucking awesome. I think it's as good as the first one. But the thing with Sicario, the first one, was like the girl was kind of like the light. Like Sicario 2 is just dark, complete darkness, and I loved it. All right, Brandon Fink says band pull-aparts in front and overhead as a warm-up has been helping him out. There you go. That's a great thing too. That's the other thing I wish I would have done more of. We always did band pull-aparts, but changing the angle, I think, and it doesn't have to be very hard.
No, it's like rehab. It's just get your reps in and get a little pump.
Yeah. Oh God, did I get a pump back in the day? I don't know why I got such a big pump sometimes. Do you ever wonder why? Do 2 sets of rear side laterals and you felt like this. I don't know why. You know what? I think it was I ate a lot of carbs. I think
that's what it was.
Yeah, it was the carbs. Okay, Jake says, do either of you recommend any rotational type of core work? Oh, all right, I see this. So I'll let you answer first.
So I'll have our kids do, I call them V-twists. I think they're called Russian twists. What I want them to do is be very deliberate in their movement instead of ripping through it. It's a very controlled movement. The other thing, I don't have enough space to do it with what I have, but I think farmer's carries or suitcase carries. I know that's not technically rotational. It's I guess it's not even anti-rotational, but I don't think it could hurt. There's some stuff like pow-off presses. If you get into like the baseball and the golf training, that people swear by those. I don't think any of that stuff is bad. I don't know if it's necessary.
Yeah. So who asked that? Jake. So this is what I'm going to say, Jake. There's nothing wrong with doing it. I don't think it's going to make or break you. So if you want to do it just to add some variety, that's fine. But I was talking to Rhodes on the ride over here. I had added some things into the training this past couple of weeks, and I'm not convinced it's the best thing. And then I realized we make the playoffs every year. We went to the Final Four last year without doing it.
Yeah,
that's not what's going to make or break you. What's going to make or break you, Jake, is that you're consistent, you work hard, and you work smart. Yeah. So nothing wrong with it, but people thinking that this is going to turn you into Tiger Woods if you're a golfer.
Yeah,
Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods because he's fucking talented.
He's better than we are. Yeah,
that's just the way it goes. So neutral. There we go. Zachary Russell says, howdy, gents. Is there a ratio you like to see between overhead press and bench? My answer, hell no. Just get them as strong as you both can. Ratios, I think, are for turds. What do you got to say?
I agree. I think this is a bit of a tangent, but
hell, we got 30 minutes. We're fine.
A lot of my kids, when I give them their choices of what they can push, boys, girls, name the sport, they choose the overhead press. And it might be for one of the best reasons ever, because it's really easy to set up. But
well, we do press on squat day. Why?
Yeah, because the bar's already set up. But no, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters that much. I think as long as you're doing them and you're doing them at different angles, you know, adjusting your dumbbell incline so it's not just the standard angle. But
this the point being is if
do some pushing.
Yeah, I think there's going to be people that have weird ratios and they get freaked out over it. I answered a question recently about that. Hey, I do this, but my bench is this. Why? It's because one is stronger than the other, and that's fine. There's going to be variations between humans. The most important thing is you do the exercise, do it hard, be consistent, and try and raise it up. So I think all that stuff is bananas. So Keith Bott from Scotland said, hey, yeah, Jim, it's gray again, same as Ireland in the last time we spoke. So I probably said something.
Hey, now that's consistency.
That's right. That's right. Vincent says that he hates us Richards. So one of the things that I say, because I have to be a little smart about what I say out loud. So I always say consume Richards, which is eat a dick.
Yeah.
So consume Richards.
Oh,
all right. Kevin Dixon says, hey, I'm great having a fellow Scot in the chat. Also, Kevin and Keith. I live in New York now, and it's overcast and raining today also. There you go. So, Kevin, you probably feel like you're at home, huh? Oh, boy. Tell Kathy Hochul I said hi. Anyway. Let's see here. Brandon says, thank you. I appreciate it. Keep it simple. All right. Thank you. Richard Stewart says, hey, Jim, did you ever experience any numbness in your arms after doing trap bar deadlifts using straps? That's an interesting. Have you? Or even deadlifts? In your arms, not your hands. But
I was going to say my wrist because something got cut off probably, but not. I don't know.
So, Richard, my answer is no, I have not. I wouldn't even know. I mean, there might be some kind of, I don't know.
Might be something like in the traps or the neck. I don't know. Yeah.
So I don't know about that one, Richard. So the answer to your question is no, I haven't. I'll give you two things. One is what I would do. I wouldn't care. I'll be honest. That's just, but if it became a real issue, I'd probably go see, I don't know who you'd see, some kind of orthopedic or not a neurologist. No, what do you call it? Physical therapist, something like that. So yeah, I don't know about that, but it's probably something that's up in your upper back, I'm going to assume. I've had Juliet's really trying to get me to get my left shoulder done, and I don't know, just feeling good, and I don't, all right, Run PM. We don't have many more questions here, so we may be getting off pretty soon here. Run PMC says Skull Crushers. All right, I'm not sure what that means.
Is that from the video at Murph's when you had the camera when we were down there? Because I remember you looking at someone's training lab and like Skull Crusher.
That might be it.
I don't know. I don't know why that popped into my head.
Well, I told Rhodes we recently added in. I give the kids what we call non-negotiables for our assistants, but we let them do any upper body stuff as long as they do the non-negotiables. And one of the things we've added is dumbbell lion tricep extensions on the ground, and the kids love them. Kids have actually eaten it up. So, but because that's what we're going to win the state championship there, because we're doing
100%.
Yep, that's
100%.
how it works. He did say that's correct.
So, nice.
I don't even remember that. That's sad.
Nice.
Then again, that was what,
15 years ago, maybe.
probably mid 2000s maybe.
That was the day, you may not remember this, when Dave had the denim bench shirt on with the sleeves cut off.
It doesn't help. We'll take it off. No. That's funny. I have not seen Murph in forever.
No.
I assume
I talked to him a couple of years ago. I think maybe when I was getting my job where I am now at Gravit, I may have called him or he may have called me or something like that. But seems like he's doing well. His total performance is.
I tell you what,
he's moved for like a 5th time into a bigger facility, and he's expanded the things that he offers and all that stuff. So Murph's doing a great job.
It's always amazing. Murph's got his hand. Like Murph might not be the best overall businessman, but for running a business in the gym, unbelievable.
He does a great job. Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah. He's got his hand in a lot of things, and he's persistent.
Yes. Yep.
And hysterical, if you can understand what he's saying with that Boston accent.
Thick Boston accent. Vincent says, how many sets and reps of any exercise could cause Murph to build an ounce of muscle?
Murph's actually gotten in great shape.
This is going to get a little too inside. So
the answer is none.
None.
Capital N-U-N.
German volume training for 4 years while taking 1 gram and 50 milligrams of test a day. There we go. Let's see here. The magic of David Scott Willis says, not a question, but humble brag of my athletes. All right, that's nothing wrong with that. My Special Olympics athletes competed in Texas State Games a few weeks ago. 2 athletes PR'd every lift, and the 3rd PR'd his deadlift, took home lots of gold. That's amazing. That's awesome. That is it. I'm going to assume Texas State Games. I don't know if that's just powerlifting or if that's like a whole bunch of different sports that they kind of all put together. But that's very impressive, man. Anytime your athletes do well, I know he took over a small school. He started working at a small school in Arkansas, much like what I have at London. And just since he's been there, they've done a great job winning a bunch of state championships in different sports. Football went to the playoffs this year, right? Yeah. That's huge. Yeah. So a lot of things can change. And I always, in the strength and conditioning world, in this world, I get a lot of more credit than I deserve. Yeah. Matt and I talked about this, and I said, training athletes, high school athletes, is very easy if you have 2 things. If you have a head coach that's 1,000% and demands kids show up and do so all the time, and 2, if you have kids who work hard. If you have that, you're going to look like a genius.
Yeah, as a coach, you write it on the board, or however you get your workout out to your kids, and you just. What I always used to tell the college kids, and when I tell the high school kids now that I've been there for a few years, is if I'm standing in the corner and I'm not really doing much, it means you're awesome, and I don't want to screw things up. I don't want to get in the way because I'm seeing everything I need to see, and that starts with your sport coach or sport coaches. If they demand that of the kids, and it's this beautiful thing, but the kids don't know any better, so then they do the same for you as a strength coach. Yep. And like you said, I think about this a lot, that we're probably a little more important than some people understand, but not nearly as important as we want to be. We're a piece in the puzzle.
I always say we're more important than the average public knows, but we're less important than our group thinks we are.
Yes. Yes.
So, like I always imagine, we had, Kyle running the shit, and then that's our head coach. And then Spiess is running the offense. Like, it's hard not to win when you have those 2 coaches. And we've had a lot of great, like Coach Solon, who's actually remind me to tell you a story about James. Okay. That's my youngest, and Coach Solon. Coach Solon works at the junior high, but he's done a remarkable job. Terrific coach. And we have the other thing is, when I first got to London, it was myself. I just showed up. Remember, I worked on the field first, and 2 other coaches that were like, 3 other coaches. That was it. We had 3 coaches and me. We couldn't get anyone to help us out. And now we have a lot of people trying to get in.
Yeah.
And most important, this is what Oregon did well, and so did Nebraska, is they kept the same coaches.
Yeah, the core stays.
And that's one thing I'll tell you what Saban did really awesome is they rotated coaches so often.
He was able to maintain. Yeah, he was able to maintain that.
That's one thing I think we have. We've been running the same offense. We always run the same basic defense, and we just alter things based on that. The point being, guys, good coaches can make a tremendous difference. It's not just one it's going to make a difference. But man, if you get,
especially when they start stringing years together with each other,
you
really getting to understand what's trying to happen.
I always like to, my dad saw us play this year and he said, you guys are the best coach team I've seen. And that means a lot coming from my dad, who we win by 90. Like, I don't know, didn't play physical enough. Knocked out like 10 kids on the other side. We're doing all right.
Yeah.
Okay, the magic of David Scott. Will says Texas State Special Olympics Winter Games. Okay, they had volleyball, powerlifting. Lots of our volleyball athletes now want to lift. That's awesome. I'll have my hands full soon, but very excited. Well, good luck.
That's awesome.
And just be patient, man. It's whenever you got new athletes come in, I'll tell you another story about recently. It's tough, especially if it's just one of you and a million of them. It's very difficult. All right, here we go. Space Battleship Alex. He's been here many times. Says, hey, Jim, thanks for keeping this up. Just wanted to add that my daughter started doing 5-through-1. She's a soccer player and works in the Deads and pin bench along with her conditioning and skill work. That's awesome. Just remember, Alex, she's an athlete. You just got to get her a little stronger, put on some muscle. You don't have to set records all the time or anything like that. Just being consistent by doing the movements. She's going to become a better athlete because you're raising her GPP. I still think if you had a program like we do at London for any sport, the changes in that sport would be huge. The only problem is, as you know, no other sport other than football seems to give a shit about strength and conditioning. They'd like to say so until it's the playoffs or until their star player skips a lift and doesn't get punished for it. All the little trickle down effects. It is we have a 6-year process here at London, and it's expected that the kids show up regardless. And great things can happen when you're that consistent. It makes your job, everyone's job, and makes winning much easier. And one of the things I always like to say, like when we're doing our Monday squats and stuff, and some of the stuff we've been doing has been sucking. And I look at the older kids and I always say, like the prowler, you guys will thank me in about 8 months. We know. So, one of the kids I love coaching, he ended up quitting the team. I saw him at Walmart recently, and he did a tremendous job, worked so hard. And he thanked me and stuff. And I'm like, well, it's a lot of hard work. He's like, well, it's not supposed to be fun.
Oh, there's a kid.
I was like, son of a bitch. Why did you quit? It was one of the, it's an awesome thing to hear that. He's like, well, not everything has to be fun. So that's a very mature outlook for such a young kid. And boy, he did so well. All right, here we go. He was one of the kids I'll never forget. I challenged him at the beginning of the season. I said, I need you to be able to do this. That's my goal. And he looked at me all cockeyed. It was 225 for 10 on the trap bar. And he was struggling. Sure enough, he did it. He was walking around. Yeah. It was awesome. All right, here we go. John Beam. Must be the twin brother Jim. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard that, John, about 9 million times. Not original.
Come on, we're totally original.
Yeah, that's right.
Never heard that before.
15-year-old son recently pulled a quad. The high school trainer is treating, but curious if anything he could do to rehab or prehab, or is it just something that's inevitably going to happen? Thanks. All right. So first of all, Matt and I are not equipped to handle this. I'll be completely honest. I don't know when people say they pull something. I don't know if it's like horrible.
Yeah, or a tweak or something. Yeah.
I will say this, that you're going to have to rest a little bit, but when you pull something, I always try to get blood in there. So even if it's very light leg extensions or something that doesn't really hurt it, but can flush some blood in there, I think you'd be good. The other thing, John, and I talked about this earlier in this, is as soon as it feels good, don't go out and do everything right away. Like, let your body heal a little bit, because there's a good chance, we've seen this happen a million times with hamstrings. You come back too soon, you end up re-injuring it and stuff like that. But I do not know anything specific, if I'm going to be honest. You just got to.
What I could say is what I've been told by one of the collegiate athletic trainers I used to work with is a pull. It's some level of tear.
Okay.
Whether it's a first degree, a second degree, or third, whatever. So a pulled muscle is actually a torn muscle. To what degree? If it's not black and blue, it's probably not a big deal. If it's black and blue, it's a big deal. Bruised. But what Jim said, it's 100% chance you're going to get injured in athletics or lifting weights. There's 100% chance. Rushing it back. If I think you said there's a trainer that's treating it.
Yes.
I would trust that process. And then, like Jim said, I also agree with the flush blood in there, because blood's going to help bring nutrients and all that stuff. But it's again, what Jim said earlier, front load the rehab. It's not, if you're going to do leg extensions, we're not training the legs. We're just moving the muscle with a little bit of extra weight kind of thing, if that makes sense.
The other thing, John, if I were you, and you can play your son this video, is listen, injuries are going to happen, but in order to prevent something like this or anything, you have to build a suit of armor on your body. And so this might be a good wake-up call that says, listen, man, you have to train your legs hard. You have to squat. You have to squat correctly. You have to do lunges. You have to do hills. You have to do glute ham raises. Train in such a way that you make sure this doesn't happen, not just to your quads, but to your hamstrings, to your shoulders and chest. Things are going to happen, but the more muscle and the stronger you are, the less body fat you carry within a certain, obviously you don't want to be like, 8% body fat, if that, whatever. The stronger, fitter, more conditioned you are, the more armor you build, the better off you're going to be. The higher your chances of surviving, basically, is kind of what I say. So you can play that for him, because I know my son does not want to listen to me one bit. Dad knows nothing. Mason does. Yeah. Mason's also older. James, Dad knows nothing. Always, he's like, dude, I'm so sore. You wouldn't understand.
You're right.
One thing I've never been is sore.
Yeah.
So I always find that amusing. So, all right. And Albert Paxton said, Rhodes, hell yeah. All right. Adam Jones. I believe Adam Jones plays in Tool.
The guitarist for Tool, yeah.
Who did he go to school with? High school?
Jones. High school. I don't know.
Who did he go to school? Fucking Rhodes knows nothing.
That's true.
I don't even like Tool that much, but he went to high school with Tom Morello.
Oh, high school, because I knew Tom Morello went to Harvard.
Yeah.
College, yeah. I didn't know he went to high school with Tom Morello. They both play in Drop D a lot.
That's right. Oh, man.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, Adam, welcome. They went to, I believe, Libertyville High School. So we used to do a track meet at Libertyville High School. It was absolutely awesome.
Oh, good.
It was
That's
like
awesome.
a fun track meet. And then one of the things that we would do a a shot put marathon or shot put relay. So you had to carry the shot put.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. They had
That's
all
awesome.
kinds of fun.
I was a lacrosse player. I wasn't a real athlete in high school. Ran around with a stick in my hand.
Well,
Wait a minute. I sound like Vincent now.
You know who's doing a lot of work with lacrosse is Mason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. Not training them, but doing business stuff with them is crazy.
That's
I didn't even know they played lacrosse,
In Arkansas?
in Arkansas or anywhere other than the East Coast.
Huh.
Yeah, but this is for high school.
Oh, okay.
Like younger kids.
Okay.
All right. So Adam Jones says, do you guys use lateral lunges in your programs?
I do. It's an option. It's one of those like Jim talked about adding I'm going off on a tangent here, but I got the screen. Jim talked about he added an exercise a couple weeks ago, and is that why they've been to the Final Four? Is that exercise going to make or break? No, that's kind of how I think about single leg work. my go-tos for my kids that they have a choice to do is they do rear foot elevated split squats. They can do lunges, or they can do lateral squats or lateral lunges, whatever you want. And
Cossack
they get to
squats.
choose. Yeah, Cossack squats. So I think they're awesome. I think they're really good for pitchers, baseball pitchers, to keep their hips loose after an outing. Probably more appropriate for college pitchers, because your high school pitcher is going to throw on Monday, and then he's going to play third base on Tuesday, and so on and so forth. But I think they're awesome. I don't think they're necessary.
It's very much like the rotational stuff. We do lateral lunges as part of warm up. We don't do them maybe once a week, depending on what I see from the kids, but we don't do them weighted. And I'll be completely honest, Adam. I will repeat what Rhodes says. It's a fine exercise, but it's not going to make or break unless you have like some severe deficiency that will help. Other than that, a kid's not going to go from barely playing to being All-American because of using lateral lunges. Yeah. So the one thing you have to understand, Adam, and I don't know if you're a coach or if this is for you, but the more average you are, and I fall in this category, every kid I coach falls into this category, Rhodes fell into this category, you don't need a lot of fancy shit. That doesn't mean you can't use variations. That doesn't mean you can't have fun. But the bottom line is you just got to put on some muscle, run, and jump. Muscle, run, jump. If you put on muscle, you're going to get faster. You're going to get stronger. If you running and jumping, I think for any sport is going to help you out. If you want to use lateral lunges, it's fine. But there's no way, no how for the average dude it's going to make or break anything you do. We have I always say this, in 9 seasons, we've had 1 FBS athlete and 2 FCS athletes. That's it. And we regularly field insane teams, and we just do so by building the average kid up to a tremendous ability. And anyway, just so everyone understands that. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're coaching or if you're, lifting this, listen, the chances of one small thing making the biggest difference is probably not very high unless you have all the other bases covered. So one thing I always wish I could do is house all the kids so that they're sleeping off their phones and they're eating everything perfect. Yeah. If you do that, God.
Oh, if you could get these kids to put their phone down before 2 a.m. And sleep and eat. And, it's like, hey, what'd you have for breakfast? Granola bar. That's not breakfast. That's a side. That's right. There's like, I've actually put up, because I have a huge TV in my room. It's like a 70-inch TV. And I've put up a breakfast menu from a local diner. And I'm like, guys, what's option 1? It's like grandpa's breakfast: 3 eggs, 4 pieces of toast, bacon, sausage. Yeah. That's what breakfast is. If you want to add a granola bar to that, that's great. Yeah. But, just little stuff like that. But that's that battle, the eating, the sleeping, and then I would say the managing stress. And what I mean by that is, like, if they break up with a boyfriend or girlfriend, it's the end of the world. Just because they haven't dealt with it before, they don't know how to deal with that. Or if they're having trouble at home, or, name it, or having trouble in school. Mike Krzyzewski, when he was at Duke, he used to say, if a kid's doing poorly in school, it doesn't matter what he's doing in basketball, because that's going to it's going to affect, I know I'm going off on a tangent here. I don't even remember the exact question.
Mike Krzyzewski is the only basketball coach I know that actually cared about lifting weights. Yeah, I just heard that. I'm not sure how true that is, but anyway. But did you ever see Mike Krzyzewski? This was probably 10 or 15 years ago. Some player on the other team at halftime walked by him and like hit his elbow and tough talked him, and Krzyzewski went over and they had to break him up. And
he's awesome.
Someone said, Krzyzewski grew up in Chicago in the Polish neighborhood, and he's like, people forget. I mean, he's a great ambassador for the sport, but something just set him off, man. And I always remember that. And I was like, dude, is obviously you don't want your coaches fighting and everything, but I guarantee you those players are like, hell yeah, coach, you got our back, so you're willing to duke it out too. So. Vincent C, not Vincent D, says, hey, Jim, I just want to thank you. 531 helped me boost my deadlift, from 255 to 455, and squat from 225 to 315 pounds in about a year, but still trying to go up.
It's awesome.
Working on my weak bench still, though. Listen, Vincent, this is what I would tell you. First of all, congratulations. That is unbelievable difference in lifts. The number one thing I would change on my bench, I don't just make sure you're going to be benching anyway, is build as much bodybuilder muscle up top as possible. Bodybuild, bodybuild, bodybuild. Just smoke your upper body, get it as big as possible. As I always like to say, you can't carve Jello. So, and I always see people try to peak a 225-pound bench. It's like, dude, we got to get stronger. We got to put on some muscle. And it seems like you got way too many people who are either bone skinny or really overweight and just chunky, trying to think that they're doing singles is going to really help them, when the reality they just need to get bigger. That doesn't mean you don't lift heavy. It doesn't mean you can't power lift or anything like that. But man, I would bomb the shit out of it with assistance. That's one thing. I've said this a million times. I emphasize about our kids. We call it building armor. I let the kids do as much upper body work as they want within a given time, and those kids love it. And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. So as what I like to say, we athlete the lower and bodybuild the upper. I cannot tell you how important that is. Now, Vincent, let's see. He says, will do. Thank you. My scrawny butt needs to get bigger. Definitely. 6'3", 209. Did you see my ratio for average people?
I have not.
So I developed a ratio based on height, what average dudes need to be for both muscle to combine both the highest levels of conditioning and the highest levels of strength. So I'll show it to you when I'm done. I don't remember the numbers, but I just took, for the past couple of years, I've made notes about people's height and weight that were in insane shape, and they're not freaks. There's all the average dudes. And so I came up with a formula based on your height that said, if you're 5'10", you should weigh between X and this, for the average guy to be what I would consider the strongest in
condition.
Yeah, that's the key. So anyway, okay, Harry Callahan. Wow, you got a lot of trouble, right, in San Francisco? The guy with the 44 Magnum.
Oh, I was trying to figure out the name. Yeah. I was thinking Tommy Boy.
Callahan on it. He says, is it better to do 2 or 1 main lift per day on this template, 5 through 1 in MMA? I don't think for me, it would matter. As a coach, I only ever do 1 lift per day. That's it. That's one of my non-negotiables of how I coach. There are some variables. So if you're doing another style of training, I totally think you can. So for example, if you're doing metabolic stuff that we do with some of the kids I train personally, but that's only lasts for like 4 weeks. I personally, if I were you, Harry, I do 1 main lift per day and then get maybe 2 to 4 assistance exercises. Do you guys ever do 2 main lifts a day?
No.
Nope. The way that this is what I learned. I remember reading this when I was a freshman in high school. It's never do more than, he said, 1 to 2, but basically your main lift is the most important thing. We want the great workout. We want great bar speed. And I have found that if you major in too many things, then you end up minoring at everything.
Dixie Jones, right?
Yeah. So super important to remember. But Harry, listen, if 2 main lifts per day work for you, then you'll be fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just personally, as a coach, that's just my whatever. Vincent D says he's 195-pound body weight, top of that ratio, and it's spot on. I really think there's something to it. I'm super excited, and I was so nervous about putting this on the forum because I'm like, people are going to get weird about it, but that's just been my observations. He says he's never felt as strong in condition at the same time. That's
he said the same thing when he was 328.
Yeah. For those that don't know,
I've never felt so good.
Vincent weighs 195 pounds. He's lost how much weight?
His biggest was 328. He would routinely walk around between like 290 and 300 and then decide if he was going up a class or down a class. So, I mean, Vincent's done it absolutely. Yeah. We're talking 100 from his biggest 130 pounds.
So Vince,
it's absolutely amazing, but I'm going to make fun of him.
If anyone here is interested in losing a ton of body fat and getting down to what I call your fighting weight, check out Vincent DeCenzo. He's more than an open book. I don't know if he's still doing stuff with Elite FTS, but he's on Instagram. He's more than willing to help you out. He went from, again, well over 300 pounds and
massively strong,
very strong.
And now he's still super strong and very well conditioned
at 195.
I'm going to start bleeding giving him compliments. but
Yeah.
but yeah, he really has done a phenomenal job.
And it takes time. Vincent will tell you it's taken a lot of time, but the most important thing is Vincent has been thin, so to speak.
Yeah.
Not thin. He's lost the weight and has been able to maintain it. It just wasn't a big drop.
Yes.
And then
he was very
conscientious.
Yeah, it's probably like a 10-year.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite 10-year deal of him just a pound here, a half a pound there. Just really amazing, actually.
Yeah. But okay. Richard Stewart says, "Hey Jim, have you ever used your 3-day per week strength training program on soccer players?" I know we've had some soccer players play football, like the kickers. I will say this, Richard, it will 1,000% work if you do it right. Meaning you do the exercises correctly. You don't load them like an idiot. You make sure you're smart, and as long as you're consistent. Any strength training program will work as long as it's consistent. You're doing the exercises properly, the loadings correctly, and you have some effort in there. Mm-hmm. The hard thing, again, soccer players are very much like baseball players, is that training, strength training, is not part of their culture.
Baseball's getting better, but you're right.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah.
It's really not. The only two sports really is football and field events. Mm-hmm. Shot putters and discus throwers. Those guys were way ahead of the curve. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but Richard, if you can get a soccer team or soccer, all those kids to really buy in, I'm telling you, things will change beyond your wildest belief. Be consistent. And we work at London with a 6-year program. If even at just 4 years will make a difference, 2 years will make a difference. But if you get those freshmen working from the time that they're in summer before their freshman year all the way to their senior year, great things will happen.
Yeah. And I don't think it matters. And I don't know if I'm hearing this out of context. I don't think the sport matters.
No, because we're raising
the
our
program
GDP.
The program doesn't matter what sport you're running it with.
Yeah.
It's general body strengthening. We're working on general skills, and then in practice they work on their specific skills, their sport specific. So it doesn't matter what
sport you're doing.
It is just hammer it.
Raise your general physical preparedness, and part of that is strength and muscle mass and stuff like that. That's all part of GPP for an athlete, guys. It's all part of it. Yeah. Dogman says, "Hey Jim, just wanted to say I've been running Walrus for a while now, and it's great. Disa de la Muerte." So you know me. Everything to me is the house of death, house of doom, de la Muerte, everything. The garage of doom, the basement of death, the bed of doom. That's what my wife calls it, because it's just doom when she lays in there. Poor lady. You will love these 3 minutes. Anyway, that's awesome, dog, man. It has absolutely changed my life. I'm super happy that it's one of the best things about getting hurt. I had to change my focus, and it's made me not just a better athlete, or whatever you want to call me. Not athlete, I don't know, athlete, lifter, but it's made me a better coach, because it's made me expand my boundaries a little bit. Albert Paxton says, "I love the podcast you guys do with Dave." All right. Thanks for putting out the information. It's helped me in so many ways, not just training. That's awesome, Albert. I appreciate it. We're going to get wrapped up here in a little bit. Okay. Coco Loco says, "What has, in your eyes, more value, overall strength and GPP, single leg squat or good morning RDL?" I don't think it matters one little bit. Single leg squat or good morning RDL, those are three very different movements. I think they all have equal value. And the good thing is you don't have to choose just single leg squat or RDL. You can do one on one day or one on the other day, one for 3 weeks, and then another one for 3 weeks. I always say this, I'm sure some of you older people, I don't know if you know this, training exercises and programs and templates, guys, it's not Sophie's choice. All right. That's super important. You don't have to choose just one. You can do different things all the time. So my advice to you is, my eyes, they all have strength and value to a program. Just like lunges or step ups. Which one's better? They're not. Just do one for a while, do another one for a while.
I think movement is more important than the exercise.
Yeah.
Are you going to do some type of squat movement, whether that's with a bar or a dumbbell or a front squat?
Yep.
Some kind of hinge, some kind of push, pull, and so on and so forth. It doesn't, some kind of single leg movement. Some are probably better than others if you got hooked up to an EMG or something like that, but they all have tremendous merit used
And you got a long training life. You might as well do a lot of shit. So just like vary your stuff, man. He has dumbbells up to 170 kilograms.
That's what, like
374. It's a heavy dumbbell, brother. Wow.
That holds the door open.
He's lacking backside of leg. All right. Well, you can always do band leg curls too. I think that's awesome. Straight leg deadlifts, good mornings. The one thing is on the 45-degree back raise, I also do Nordics. Those are easy Nordics because you're at a 45-degree angle. I think that's awesome. Dude, a couple sets, 2 or 3 sets a week is going to be fine as long as you're consistent and doing everything else right. So, all right, we're going to wrap up here. If anyone has any other questions, you got about 10 seconds to ask. If not, we are going to sign off here. So Dogman, who's been the Walrus, says, I struggle to stay strong physically and mentally after getting injured. I honestly don't miss the barbell anymore. Just needed a new approach. It's exactly how I feel. Listen, the world of training, we had a guy come in last week, and it was a crazy story. He had cancer. He didn't realize he had cancer until he was squatting, and he had something wrong. Basically, the cancer caused him to break 5 vertebrae or 4 vertebrae in his back. Horrible story. And he said, he can't do a lot of this stuff anymore, and he feels like he doesn't belong. And I'm going to tell you right now, I told this story to my wife, and we talked about this last night. I said, you're as much a part of the training process. Isn't about doing a barbell or doing cleans or squats. The training process is to do hard physical things, shutting your mouth and getting the work done and being consistent, just consistently kicking your ass physically, getting stronger mentally. So Dogman, you're staying strong, dude. Trust me. If you can I always say, if you can go through the 150, 150 with like a 55-pound vest in 30 minutes, you're fucking strong, man. Yeah. That's a lot of work.
Learning how to, I think Vincent struggles with this, or struggled. I did. I think you did too. Is when you measure your strength with, let's just say, the power lifts.
Yes.
Yes, that's awesome strength. But now what I try to do, and I think you're the same, is I measure my strength not with how much I can lift, but how many things I'm pretty good at. How many pull-ups, how many push-ups, how many dips can I do, and so on. And so, kind of like with the PR sets with reps, how many reps can I do as opposed to how much weight I can do, and just learning how to redefine what strong is. I think I'm hearing that right. It's like learning how to redefine
not just like
what strong is.
When Zach and I did the stadium stairs, I put up a picture of Zach and I. He did 51 rows with a 55-pound vest. And I always laugh about this because his legs were doing this at the end. That's a whole other story, and I was making fun of him. Do you know how he doesn't have the biggest legs in the world? Zach will admit it, but holy shit, he's strong. Yeah. And he was smoking those, and there's different ways of mentioning. The one thing I always like to do, I like to see what I can suffer. Yeah. How much can I endure, even if it takes me all day to get something done, or, I have a goal. I will try and suffer to get there. It doesn't mean I'm like lashing myself up, but I like to work hard. I like to physically challenge myself. It's just different ways. So Vincent says, Dogman says, Vincent C. What do you think about using chains for benching and squatting to help with balance and control? I don't know. I don't think if I was going to use chains, Vincent, it wouldn't be for balance and control. It'd be for some kind of variation for what do we call that?
Accommodating resistance.
So I don't know. Maybe it would, but if you're squatting and benching with chains, the way you set them up, they shouldn't really affect your balance at all, unless they're swinging from the bar. And if that's the case, I probably wouldn't really recommend that. All right, last question here. And it says last questions. I know the answer, but the dogma got to me. Nothing bad will happen to a trainee that will skip squats and do single leg good morning setup for 1 or 2 cycles. No. Story I'll tell you, the guy who taught me everything about lifting, Darren Llewellyn, took out back squats for, I think, 5 months, something like that. And he just did single leg squats with the barbell. And he's like, well, let's just see if it works. He kept on doing cleans. He always did the jumps and runs and stuff. Went to squatting. Everything was fine. Now he pushed the hell out of the single leg squats, like uncomfortably large. weights on there. So no, you'll be fine, man. The key is you're training your body. You're going to be all right as long as you're, you know, a little balanced with how you do it. So no, go and do it, man. Go and do it. All right, we're going to get going here. We got to train, or at least I got to train. I don't know about Rhodes. Rhodes has been up since like 3 a.m.
I'll do something today.
So anyway, I appreciate everyone who asked a question. Thank you. I love all you guys for being part of this. This is one of the best parts of my day. I apologize for not doing this on Friday, but Vincent decided to be a total beehole, and I have to pick him up. So anyway, thank you to everyone. I appreciate it. If anyone has any more questions, please ask in the comment section of the YouTube video. As always, this weekend, do something stupid conditioning-wise. Challenge yourself. Be miserable. Set a goal. If possible, do it with a buddy or your son or daughter, and they will love you for it many years later, just not then. Bye.
Good.